Hey, welcome back to this short cooking series. On the last episode, we talked about pulled pork. Today, we're talking about bacon, all things bacon, starting from pork belly, going all the way to sliced. This bacon is going to be double smoked because the second cook, after the first cook, is going to be done on the grill as well. So this is going to be double smoked. Okay, I have a correction to make. In a few minutes, you're going to refer to me. You're gonna hear me refer to the first cook as a cure. That's not correct. Technically, you could refer to the marinade, what we're calling the marinade portion of the video, as a cure. But typically, a cure is done for multiple days, so that's why I refer to that as a marinade. That's a marinade, as far as I'm concerned. The first cook is also not a cure. It's just the first cook. That's to get it to 150 degrees. Feel free to publicly flog me in the comment section. I got a pretty thick skin about that. Okay, so moving right along, I want to encourage you to make your own bacon. If you've got a smoker, you should try to make your own bacon. The flavor is very different from the bacon that you get from the store. The stuff at the store is mass produced, so it tastes mass produced once you've had bacon like this. So I want to encourage you to get out there and try and cook your own. This is the way that I do it, but there are lots of different ways to do it. Okay, so without further ado, let's get to cooking. The first stage of bacon, the marinade. So we're starting with the pork belly. I took the time when I was at the store to sort through the pork bellies and make sure that, I like meat on my bacon, right? So I take the time to really slow down. Of course, there's going to be a bunch of fat on bacon. That's the nature of bacon, but I like to at least try to stack the deck in my favor as much as I can and try and get as much meat as possible on my pork belly. Okay. Now some people at this stage will do a trim. If we look right here, you see this big old section of fat right here, right on this side right here. I'm not going to do that. This is just fine. So the first thing that I'm going to do, this is real easy, is I'm going to quarter this up. Okay. Okay, just like that. Real easy. Okay, now I'm gonna put these into the bags. I'm just gonna put 2 in each bag. These are gallons Ziploc bags. It's gonna be a little bit cramped in there. That's okay. Okay. There's the one. There's the 2. Okay, that's looking just fine. All right. So now, let's make this aside. Now we're gonna make the marinade. This is gonna sit overnight. What I've got here is 5 tablespoons of brown sugar, a tablespoon and a half of salt, and a cup of yellow mustard. This is real easy. that over there too. Okay. I want to incorporate this really good. You may end up with some small lumps and stuff like that of the sugar. That's fine, as long as the lumps are small. I like to have this as smooth as possible. Okay, and then we're gonna split this in half between the two bags. Yeah, that's looking good. Set that aside there. Okay, bring this back. Okay, now we're going to pour inside about half of this mixture. Half in there. Roughly half. Try not to make too big of a mess. Not yet. There'll be plenty of opportunity to make a mess. But, for now, we're just trying to keep everything simple. Get the remaining amount out of this bowl. Okay, in it goes. In it goes, in it goes. Okay. Get that out of the way too. Okay, now that it's in here, I'm just gonna use my hand. Just kind of get a little bit messy. And just push this around a little bit. Okay. This doesn't have to be perfect or anything like that. Now, another option is to do this part outside of the bag and then try and stuff it in later. You can do that. If that's your thing, you can do that. The other option is to cut this in smaller pieces, which I don't like. I like it in quarters. You'll see in the next stage after the cure in the smoker, you'll see why. Okay, so that's incorporated real good. Each one of these quarters is going to end up in its own vacuum seal freezer bag, because each one of these quarters is going to be a cook after it's all done. So when I'm ready to actually eat the bacon, I've got 3/4 in the freezer still, and I'm using only 1/4 at a time to cook a meal. The very last segment of this bacon episode is going to be the cook, and it's only going to be one of these quarters. Yeah, that's looking really good. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to seal this up. Try and get most of the air out of there. It doesn't have to be perfect. Same thing here. Okay, now I've thoroughly made a mess of the outside of this whole process. That's okay. Just clean it up, okay? So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna wipe these down really well, get these nice and clean. These are gonna go in the fridge for 24 hours. So this is gonna be a 24-hour marinade, and then we're gonna come back, take these out, and then I'll show you the cure. So we'll be back tomorrow. All right, so we're ready for the next step. This has been sitting overnight. Roughly 18 hours. You can go longer if you want. So all I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna wipe this off into the bag. A lot of this mustard I'm just gonna leave on there. Let's kind of serve as a binder for the next step. Okay, kind of like that. You can choose to rinse this off if you want. You can choose to wipe all this stuff off with paper towels and all that kind of stuff. Or you can leave all the mustard on there. It's kind of up to you to figure out what you want to do. This is just the way that I do it. A little bit of a mess, it's okay. That's the ongoing theme. You're gonna be making messes when you're cooking. It's just the cost of doing business. If you want good food, it requires time, it requires cleanup. Okay. Right there. Okay, looking good. All right, now I'm gonna take this off. So I've got a clean hand, dirty hand, cleaned hand. This is the rub I'm gonna use, Meat Church's Holy Cow. I like using this for the outside because, as you can see here, it's got a heavy pepper. I like the pepper on the outside. Don't forget the edges. Okay, edges. In the meantime, I've already gone outside, turned on the smoker onto the smoke setting. When we put these on, I'm going to change that to 225. Okay, and the goal is to have an internal temperature of 150 degrees. So the combination of the little bit lower temperature of smoke and the time, that's how we'll ensure that we get a good cure, some really nice smoke before these get put away. Okay, because these are going to get put away after they're done. Look at all that pepper. I like my pepper on bacon to be on the outside. We're going to season this again when we cook it the second time. That's going to be more of like a sugar rub. But we're going to have this heavy pepper on the outside of our sliced bacon, which is going to be really nice. Okay, looking good. Let's give it a little extra here. Okay, Now we're gonna head out to the grill. We're gonna put this on 225, and we're gonna pull these out when we reach 150 degrees. We made it to 150 degrees. Now we're ready to pull these out of here. Look at that. That's incredible, isn't it? Okay. All right, now we're gonna take these inside. I'm just gonna let them cool for just a few minutes, just so that I can handle them. And then we're gonna vacuum seal these for later. Let's go inside. So we're ready to put these away. This has been cooled down just to room temperature, so now I can handle it real easy. I've got my vacuum sealer here. I'm using a Nesco vacuum sealer. I have the Food Saver brand as well, and I really like the Food Saver brand bags. So I'm still using the Food Saver brand bags. They tend to work really well. I've had some issues in the past with non-name brand, you know, trying to cheap out type of bags. It just doesn't work out for seal, to make a good seal. So I stick with the Food Saver brand bags. I'm using the Nesco vacuum sealer. Okay, so. So while that's going, I'm gonna grab my towel, hand towel, and just kind of explain why I use a vacuum sealer. I don't know when I'm going to be actually cooking this. This is just the first cook. This is the cure, just to make sure you get good smoke penetration into the meat, so that the next time you cook it, you have the option to either cut it and cook it in the grill, or you can slice it and cook it up in a pan. But You know, some of these big pieces of bacon, they might be in my freezer for many months. So I like to use a vacuum sealer, make sure and get all the air out, minimize the risk of any kind of freezer burn or anything like that. Like I said, I'm using a Nesco right now. I moved to the Nesco because this unit here is a little bit more versatile. It can do double seals, so when I'm making backpacking food and stuff like that, it's a lot easier for me to make small bags with this unit. It's a little bit more compact, so if I'm on the road on a hunting trip or something like that, I can bring this with me, and everything is just very, very easy. So this is the one that I use. So now these are all done, and coming up next, I'm going to show you, after we take these out of the freezer, how I'm going to cook this, make this into sliced bacon out on the grill. Coming right up. Okay, we're ready to cook some bacon. This is after the first cook. Now we're getting ready for the second cook. We're gonna actually turn this into bacon slices now. So this has been thawed. It's been in the freezer. Okay. I'm gonna take this out. First thing we're gonna do is get rid of this. Okay, now, I'm not gonna cut it in this direction because this is gonna go on the smoker. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is cut in this direction. And I'm gonna cut some pretty hefty slices. So it's gonna look like this. Okay, if you're gonna put this on a BLT or something like that, this is gonna be the meatiest bacon you've ever had, because first of all, it's the right size of your bread, probably. And the second thing is, this is gonna be a nice, just hunk of meat. Okay, so this is over 1/4 of an inch. This is probably closer to like 3/8 of an inch. Real thick. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and continue to cut these guys up. I always liked thicker bacon. The thin, paper thin bacon, I always thought was a waste of meat. Not worth the fuss. You know, bacon is a pretty high calorie thing to eat in the first place. So if you're gonna do it, then you should do it. Right? So plan properly with your diet. Don't eat it all the time, especially the way that we're gonna be cooking this. Everybody goes real crazy about bacon and gives bacon a free pass because it's protein and animal fat. Well, the ratio of fat to protein is kind of ridiculous. Okay, so you shouldn't be eating bacon all the time. You should eat bacon, but it shouldn't be all the time. And especially the way that we're going to be cooking this, because when we get to the rub over here, you're going to see visually how much sugar is in that rub. Okay, so it's going to be higher in fat and pretty high in sugar, but it is unforgettable. It's delicious. Okay, so now we're going to lay this out. I got just foil on a cookie sheet. I'm going to lay this all out. This is where I'm going to apply the seasoning. So I'm going to apply it to both sides of this bacon. Putting everything right close to each other. Kind of like that. Here, here. Okay, so I'm going to take this off. I've got a clean hand. This is the rub I'm going to be using. Everyone loves meat church, and I'm no different. This is the honey bacon barbecue. It's unbelievable. Okay, so some of you might be going, holy cow, look at all that seasoning. That's not very much meat. Yeah, that's true. But a lot of this is sugar. And the goal is to kind of get a caramelizing sugar on there. Okay, you can still see the meat, but generally speaking, I feel like I'm applying it pretty liberally. Okay, I'm just gonna give it just a little pat. Give everything a turn. Hit it again. Okay, this is ready. Just a little bit of pat again. Okay, this is ready now. Now we're going to take this out with the tongs, and it'll go on the grill at 300 degrees for roughly an hour. We'll see you out there. All right, guys, here we go. We're going to put this bacon right on this grill. I've talked about it before. I'll say it again. It's very important. Now you're dealing with something that's real greasy. It's really important to not load up this grill past the grease pan. Don't go past the grease pan. This is going to drip like crazy. It needs to go into the grease pan and then into the bucket. So make sure you load it right. Make sure you do everything you can to keep your grill clean and functional. Okay. And it's looking good. All right, we're ready. We'll be back in an hour. Alright, we're checking in on our bacon here. And that is looking good. You see that it's getting tacky. It's from the sugar. We're just going to give all these a turn. They don't have too much longer on here. These are looking really good. Not too much longer. We're going to pull these guys out. Alright guys, this is ready. Look at that. Perfect color. All I'm going to do is pull these now. Let them cool for a little bit. And then I've got many meals of the bacon. So I hope you enjoyed this episode on bacon. This version of bacon is always a showstopper. So like I said in the very beginning, if you have a smoker, give this a try. You won't regret it. Okay, on the next episode, we're going to be talking about chicken. So if you've got a difficult time with chicken, sometimes it's a little bit too dry, this episode is going to be for you. Okay. Just as a reminder, if you want a complete breakdown of all my equipment and all that stuff, go back to the first episode. I'll put a link down in the show notes back to the first episode. You'll be able to see the cost. You'll be able to see a full breakdown of all the equipment that I use. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you on the next one.